dictate might be a strong word. Ano? I mean, for some Filipinos, globalization doesn't really affect them directly. Right? The most obvious way in which globalization affects Filipinos ay yung pagdami ng mga OFWs, right? And most Filipino families would have family member, or at least they know someone who's working abroad, who's working overseas. There are so many ways in which globalization affects us. In terms of culture, you listen to foreign bands and foreign music, watch foreign movies, and it's easier to do this whether it's pirated or yung through theaters. Well, in terms of connected networks also through the internet, you can do that also. We're sort of more connected globally because of technologies, because of better transportation. It's easier, for example, and it's so cheap to get to one place to another because of halimbawa yung regular sales ng Cebu Pacific or ng Air Asia. So certainly globalization sort of affects our lives, pero I don't know if it dictates it. I mean, because some people choose to live otherwise, knowingly, they choose to live other than being globalized. So may mga communities, for example, in certain areas of the Philippines that choose choose a life that's not really dictated by globalization. There are, for example, sa Banao, sa Quezon, may mga tinatawag nating millenarian movements that to an extent live a life that's quite different from you and me, right? And it's a life that I think it's not globalized. Tapos merong ding mga hindi talaga apektado directly, hindi naapektuhan ng pagkawala ng trabaho or pag-alis ng mga tao sa mga probinsya. So, yun. Again, in different degrees, right? For the likes of us, parang napaka-inevitable ng effect ng globalization sa atin culturally, economically, right, politically. And there are lots of issues that are that we should think of in terms of at global scales, like for example environmental issues. It's been discovered that it's wrong to think of it as local issues, but to think of it as interconnected issues, because the whole world is a big ecosystem, right? And to think of solutions to environmental issues piecemeal, right? This has been discovered also in international multilateral environmental agreements. If you think of environmental issues piecemeal as separate issues, we'll discover later on that there's something wrong with the solutions that we produce in order to address these issues, right? So there are things that that affects us and that we need to think about globally, right? But there are also some aspects of our lives that are not that globalized. I mean, although, for example, I told you about culture a while ago. I mean, there are manifestations of culture like popular culture, which is to an extent globalized. But there are also traditional Filipino culture that are still preserved and that are still practiced in many places here in the Philippines. So, and I don't know kung gaano kalaki yung epekto ng globalization sa ganun. Pwede ngang iba yung epekto pwedeng ang epekto yung baliktad dahil malakas yung influensya ng global culture ay ng globalized popular culture.
Cheeseburger on 3, guys. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. Ah no. Here we go, here we go, here we go. So one day, nagpunta ako sa McDo para bumili ng cheeseburger with fries. Big ass fries. Laman ko dito ng Coke. Napalitan ko parang Sprite ng Sprite. Pumunta naman ako sa call center, doon ako nagtatrabaho. Gotta raise some money for my little sister. Gonna be a nurse in UK someday. Globalization, lahat tayo apektado, biktima alipin ng globalization. Bakit ganon? Bakit ganon?
Tayo mga Pilipino, dapat matuto tayo tangkilikin yung mga sarili nating products.
Sa cinema house, nood ako ng Angelina Jolie. Everyone is talking in Taglish. Sobrang nakakairita. Akala nila nakakatuwa. Ako'y burat na burat pag sila'y nagsasalita. Globalization, alipin na tayo ng ganitong phenomenon. Puro pasarap, tubura ang nararapat. Bakit ganon? Bakit ganon?
Mga Pilipino magkaroon ng sariling identity. Ba't lahat tayo magkaroon ng
Nation, we're losing out. Right? I mean, usually people from the left have valid or have reasonable explanations for this. That our industry is not prepared for a globalized world. Wherein there's no protection, no subsidy, and you want it to compete with what's this? With companies na much better yung
Daming problema sa ating bansa, lalo sa Pilipinas. Hindi lang isa, hindi lang dalawa, hindi lang tatlo. Una, kahirapan. Pangalawa, kulang tayo sa trabaho. Marami tayong graduate. Walang mapasukan na hanap trabaho. Pabahay, ng mga mahirap. Marami tayong nakikitang nakatira sa gilid ng kalsada na hindi mabigyan ng solusyon ng gobyerno. Kahirapan, walang maibigay yung gobyerno na trabaho upang umundad man lang yung kabuhayan ng mga mahirap. Puro na lang mayayaman ang umuunlad. Pag mahirap ka pa rin.
Nakita ko sa email ko, sabog na raw ang ating economy. Pati daw ang ating ecology. Sirang-sira na lahat, warak-warak. Sabi ko, matagal na